This is a status hearing involving the Altman Child. Ms. Wildman is with us for the department. Ms. Wiggins is with us representing the child. Ms. Altman is with us. Ms. Altman, before we get started, if you'd unmute, please.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, ma'am. We did not have a hearing for the adversary hearing, so this is our first hearing. I need to be sure you understand you have the right to an attorney. If you can't afford an attorney, you have the right to ask that the court consider whether or not you're entitled to a court-appointed attorney based on the fact that you're indigent as far as being able to hire an attorney. Do you understand that?
Yes, sir.
Do you want to ask for an attorney today?
I already have a court-appointed attorney.
Oh, you do? Who is it?
Erin Mullinex.
I didn't have her down.
She has, I talked to her and she said she had some kind of trial right now and she would be able to get somebody to step in, but if not, that she's already informed me of everything.
That's correct, Your Honor. I don't know what county she's in trial in, but that's part of why we're doing our start-stop this afternoon.
Yeah, I understand that. I saw that. We have some time, Miss Altman. If you've talked to her, that's up to your decision and what she'd advise you to do. Basically, all today's hearing is to go over, be sure you understand what's in your service plan and what they're asking you to do, and find out if you're willing to do those things. And if not, you tell me why not, and I'll decide what should be included in your service plan. But we do have some time. If you would rather me postpone this hearing until you can have Miss Mullinex with you, I'll be happy to do so.
No, sir. I've already spoken with her and I'm okay with proceeding.
Okay, thank you for that. Okay. I have who's your witness going to be, Miss Wildman?
It'll be Payton Sims.
Okay, I've got her in the waiting room. Let me get her in real quick. All right, Miss Sims is with us, so you may proceed, Miss Wildman.
Miss Sims, just briefly, how are you currently employed?
Wait a minute, I need to swear in. Ms. Sim, do you swear the testimony you give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
All right, thank you. Now, Ms. Wildman.
Thank you, Judge. Ms. Sims, how are you currently employed?
I'm a permanency specialist at St. Francis Ministries.
And are you familiar with the child? Or I guess, are you familiar with the Altman family?
Yes.
And are you the the permanency specialist that is going to be assigned to this case?
Yes.
All right. And so let me ask you real quick. Where is Braxton currently placed?
He is currently placed with his grandmother in Amarillo, Texas. It's a maternal grandmother.
All right. And so obviously, since the court report was filed, that has changed. So when did he move in with grandma?
He moved last Monday.
All right. And so how have things been going this past week?
They've been going pretty good. I went and visited him on Tuesday, I believe. And he has his own room there. He's liking living with his grandma. He likes being closer to home in Amarillo, and he's now enrolled at Windsor Elementary, so that school changed too.
All right. And I guess prior to placement, he was placed in Lubbock, is that correct?
Yes, he was at a group home or a
How
home.
How is he doing in school down there?
He was doing well. He had to wear special clothes. He had to wear like a nice button down and khakis, which he didn't enjoy too much, but he liked the school there.
Was he able to get his STAR testing done while he was at that school, or is he going to need to make something up over the summer?
His STAR testing is completely done. He shouldn't be in summer school.
Perfect. All right. So what sort of visitation is Braxton having with Jessica?
Yes. So visits were every Friday from 4 to 5 p.m., I believe. They were held virtually for a couple weeks, and then it was changed over to in person at a counseling center there in Lubbock. The last 2 in-person visits in Lubbock were missed. Mom had a blowout on the way to Lubbock, and then the week that before Braxton got moved, she was a little confused on his move date, and so she didn't make it to that one. Last week they didn't have a visit, but tomorrow they get that 2-hour visit to make up.
And moving forward, is the visitation going to sort of stay the same as she's working services until we can increase it?
Yes, visits will be for 1 hour weekly. I'm looking at Tuesdays. We don't have any FSWs currently available, so I'll be watching those for a while.
Okay. Now, have you prepared a service plan for Miss Altman?
Yes, me and Miss Altman actually sat down and prepared the service plan together.
All right, and just I guess for the court and for the record, Mr. or I guess Braxton's father is deceased. Is that correct?
Yes.
And so Miss Altman, that's the only family plan of service that we've prepared.
Yes.
Now, what sort of services did you and Miss Altman come up with that are narrowly tailored to the needs of this case that she needs to complete?
We have a psychosocial evaluation, individual therapy, parenting classes, OSAR, drug screens, adequate support, safe and appropriate housing, safe and appropriate supervision, and maintaining sobriety from alcohol and drugs.
All right, and has Ms. Altman been able to complete any of those yet?
Yes, she completed her OSAR, and they recommended that she do outpatient therapy or outpatient drug treatment, which she has started. She has started her parenting classes. She's now has a job. Her and I were talking about getting into housing, and so I think she should be getting into housing here this month soon. So she started her services.
Now, what sort of outpatient treatment is she doing?
It's through, I believe it's called Serenity. It's a weekly program, and I believe she also attends NA and AA.
All right, and I guess in addition to the current family plan of service, are we going to ask that those OSAR recommendations also be made a recommendation to the court or make
Yeah.
it to the court? Okay.
Yes.
Now, it sounds like Ms. Altman's making some good progress. What are some of the continuing danger concerns that St. Francis has at this time?
At this time, we need a drug screen to be court ordered today, to see progress, for negative drug screens. We also, she doesn't have a house yet to herself, so we would consider not having stable placement. The department just is continued to be worried for Braxton's safety due to Jessica's instability right now.
Okay. And do you believe that the family plan of service that you and Ms. Altman have developed will help hopefully mitigate some of those issues in the future?
Yes, I think they will.
Do you believe that the department's making reasonable efforts to reunify Braxton with his mother?
Yes.
Are there what sort of drug screen are we wanting to order today?
A hair follicle and a UA.
And are there any other services that we didn't discuss already that we want to have added to the court order?
Not at this time.
All right. I'll pass the witness, Judge.
All right, thank you. Payton, I didn't hear, is Braxton with maternal grandmother or paternal?
Maternal.
Okay, and where is she living?
She's in Amarillo.
Okay, and where is Miss Altman living?
She's living with a friend in Amarillo.
Okay, so in-person visits won't be a problem, correct?
Correct.
Okay, all right, thank you. And has Miss Altman to date, has she done a hair strand yet?
No.
Okay, all right. Okay, thank you. All right, then, Ms. Wiggins, questions?
No question, Judge.
All right. Ms. Altman, since Ms. Mullinax is not here, do you have any questions for Ms. Sim?
No, sir.
All right, is there anything you want to tell me today?
I'm doing all my services. I've been in NA for weeks now, counseling. My psychosocial has been done. I have been working constantly. And so my housing situation is the only thing I would like to justify a little bit. I'm working on getting to a house right now, so hopefully it'll be done at least by June 1st. I
Okay,
plan on being in a place by myself.
sounds good. Okay. All right, then. Ms. Wiggins, recommendations?
I recommend that the department remain temporary managing conservator and placement be continued. And that was my only question, is whether or not he had been moved. So Andy obviously knew, but anyway, nothing else, Judge.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Altman, do you have transportation?
Yes, sir, I do.
Can you get to Care Express by 4 today to do your drug tests?
Can it be tomorrow morning?
Yeah, that'd be fine.
Okay, I just have an appointment and
Okay.
my counseling and stuff. So
Yeah, I don't want you to miss those, but
Right.
so if you can get there by noon tomorrow.
Yes, sir.
Okay, and
I'll be there.
you've drug tested before, so you know where Care Express is?
Yes, sir, I do.
Okay, all right, thank you. All right, then, based on what I've heard, then I will continue the department as temporary managing conservator. I'll continue the current placement. I'll order the services for Ms. Altman as contained in her service plan. As was mentioned, I will order that the recommendation from the OSAR that she complete outpatient, I will order that today. Just make that a part of the order. And I'll order Ms. Altman to both hair strand and UA drug screen by 4 p.m. I'm sorry, by 12 o'clock p.m. tomorrow at Care Express. Ms. Altman, the purpose of the hair strand is just so we'll have a baseline as we go through this case that should go down and eventually go to 0. And that's why we'll know you're not continuing to use. So that's
Yes,
the
sir.
purpose. That's why we're doing a hair strand and a UA. So,
Yes, sir.
okay. We'll have the next hearing, the initial permanency hearing on September 15th, 2025. That will be by Zoom, just like today's hearing. So the parties, Ms. Altman, you can either get with Ms. Mullinax or you can get with St. Francis or the department a day or two before September 15th. They'll tell you exactly what time we'll have that hearing. So,
Yes, sir.
okay.
I just wanted to ask, because I was a little distracted at the beginning. Did you do the statutory admonishments about the parental rights, since we haven't had the adversary hearing?
I was just about to.
Oh, sorry, Judge.
Ms. Altman, I have to admonish you today that the services contained in your service plan become a court order. At a final hearing, if you haven't worked those services, your parental rights could be altered or terminated. Do you understand that?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I don't see that happening. I've done this long enough. You've already jumped on your services. A lot of parents, we get to this hearing and they've not even thought about services. So you're doing a good job already. And my experience has been that the ones that jump on their services early usually have a really good outcome, and sometimes sooner than we thought. So I applaud you for jumping on those services so fast.
Thank you.
All right, that will conclude this hearing. For those of you involved, I'll be back at 9:30 to call another Randall County case. That is a placement review after final order on the Walker child. So we'll stand in recess. Everybody have a good week.
Thank you, Judge.
Thank y'all. I will call Randall County case cause number 83007. This is a placement review after final order on the Walker child. Ms. Gutierrez is with us for the department. Ms. Wiggins is with us for the child. The aunt and uncle, Mr. and Mrs. Needham, are not with us, and they're not in our waiting room. I don't think they attend a lot of the hearings. So if we have everybody we need in, then Ms. Gutierrez, you may proceed.
Thank you, Your Honor. The department calls Jalissa Bird as its witness.
Okay. Ms. Bird, if you'd raise your right hand, please. You swear the testimony you give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
I do.
All right. Thank you, Ms. Gutierrez.
Thank you, Your Honor. Jalissa, who do you work for?
St. Francis Ministries.
And are you assigned to the case with Brianna Walker?
Yes, I am.
And are her aunt and uncle, Gregory and Nita Needham, possessory conservators?
Yes, they are.
That's great. You filed a court report. Let's get the date. See, you filed a court report on May 7th of 2025. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Your Honor, we ask that the court take judicial notice of that court report.
All right. So noted, and I did read that report.
Thank you, Your Honor. Jalissa, if we could get some updates on Brianna since the filing of that court report.
Yes, Brianna has done really well in her program. They did put in a successful discharge. So we are currently working on looking for some type of extended care program. We did have a circle of support for Brianna on May 13th. So that went really well, just kind of discussing her future plans, and just St. Francis and the department's plans for Brianna. So she's done really well since being in that program.
I'm glad to hear that. Approximately how much time is left of that discharge?
So they did give a 30-day discharge, but they did specify that this could go to 60 days. So we're just actively looking for placements until an appropriate placement is sought.
All right, so let's get into the child's goals. What are her permanency goals?
So we did goal change for her in April. So her primary goal is independent living. And then her concurrent secondary goal is family reunification.
That independent living goal, is that also known as APLA?
Yes, it is.
And what does APLA stand for?
Sorry, that is a good question. I usually just have independent living. But it is basically to prepare her for the future of living independently. So we talked about some skills and goals for her.
Okay. And in regards to her concurrent goal, or actually, let's continue with that line. So you've discussed some of the options she has for independent living. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And so specifically, have you spoke with her about the SIL program or the supported independent living program?
Yes, we have.
And how did she feel about that?
She was actually very interested in the SIL program. Brianna at this time is just really wanting to live independently and kind of learn those skills. She stated to not have the full confidence, but she is very open to learning just basically everything. So.
And was it explained to her that in order for her to qualify for those programs, she would have to stay in extended foster care?
Yes.
Okay. And was she open to that idea as well?
Yes, she was.
As far as reasonable efforts to fulfill that permanency goal, everything you've discussed, plus the circle of support and the Pell program, those would be the department's reasonable efforts to finalize them. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And in regards to family reunification, is she still having visitation with Gregory and Neetha?
Yes, she actually has phone calls and virtuals during her counseling sessions. So they talk every single day. Greg and Neetha have reported those phone calls go very well. They both came to the agreement that she would do better in extended care or the SIL program, and just basically visiting for holidays and weekends and different things. So it seems like they all have come to an agreement and their relationships will improve majorly.
That is fantastic to hear. Let's see. Do we have any requests for additional services either for the child or for Gregory and Neetha? I'm sorry, Gregory and Neetha.
Not at this time.
Okay. And as far as going back to the permanency goals, with us facilitating her placement at a residential treatment center, is that to help her with her mental and behavioral struggles?
Yes.
And would us providing those services as well help achieve both or either permanency goal?
Yes.
Okay. In regards to her psychotropic medication, is she on psychotropic medication?
Yes, she is.
And is that being monitored at least every 30 days by a psychiatrist?
Yes.
Has she expressed an opinion on her medication?
She did say in time she would like to basically kind of learn how to live with less medications. That is something that she's been working on since being in placement. And so I know that she's had a few decreases. So that is her goal in the future, is to be on less medications.
Okay, that's good to hear. And with her being in a residential treatment center at this time, is that the least restrictive environment given her needs?
Yes, it is.
All right, I pass the witness.
All right, thank you, Ms. Wiggins.
I have no questions.
All right. Ms. Bird, you may not know the answer to this, but are we asking today that we continue the department and as permanent managing conservator, but continue the aunt and uncle as possessory conservators?
I believe so.
Just
Yes.
leave it that way until she turns 18?
Yes.
All right. Okay. All right, then, Ms. Gutierrez, anything further from the department?
Nothing further, Your Honor.
All right. Ms. Wiggins, did you have any witnesses?
I did not.
All right, Ms. Wiggins, recommendation.
I recommend that the department remain permanent managing conservator, that the aunt and uncle remain possessory conservators, and her placement continue until we can find something for a long-term placement after she turns 18.
Okay. All right. All right, then that's what I'll do. I will continue the department as permanent managing conservator, continue the aunt and uncle as permanent possessory conservators, and I will continue Brianna's current placement, knowing that we're looking for another placement. All right, I will set the next review hearing for November 10th, 2025. That will be by Zoom like today's hearing, so parties and attorneys can go on the court's online docket a day or two in advance to see what time we'll have that hearing. All right, that will conclude this hearing. I'll be back at 10 o'clock to call another Randall County case. That is an adversary hearing on the Cthine Child. So we'll be in recess till then. You guys have a good week.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I will call Randall County case cause number 86535. This is an adversary hearing involving the Cthine Child. Ms. Gutierrez is with us for the department. Ms. Wiggins is with us representing the child. Mr. Michelson is representing the mother, Ms. Cthine, who is also with us. And I don't have anyone in my waiting room now, so we are ready to proceed.
Thank you, Your Honor. We have an agreement between the parties for the department to continue as temporary managing conservator of the child, for mother to be possessory, temporary possessory conservator. The child right now is, let's see, Kathy, where is the child placed again?
She's in RTC in Humble. It's called Greener Pastures.
Okay, so she's in an RTC in Humble, Texas, Your Honor.
Okay.
I believe Mr. Michelson, correct me if I'm wrong, you said your client was willing to work services. Is that correct, Mr. Michelson?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. And I think that's it, Your Honor. We have a discharge notice on the child, and we believe she'll be going to an RTC, probably still there in the Houston area, but at this point she is in Humble.
Okay. All right, then, Mr. Michelson, this is your client's agreement?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, Ms. Wiggins, are you in agreement?
Yes, Judge.
All right, is there anything else we need to take up today?
I think I forgot to add, Your Honor, that visitation is going to be virtually for Ms. Cthine with the child. And then if she's able to get down to the Houston area, then she'll be able to see her in person.
Okay. All right, then I will approve that agreement. I'll continue the department's temporary managing conservator, continue Ms. Cthine as temporary possessory conservator. I will continue Anna's current placement, knowing that that's probably going to be moved to another RTC due to the discharge notice.
Okay, thank you, Your Honor.
Okay, that will conclude this hearing then. Thank you all for working that out. I will be back at 11 o'clock to call our next Randall County case. That is a status hearing on the Kennedy child. So we'll be in recess and everyone have a good week.
You too, Your Honor.
I will call Randall County case cause number 86271L2. We're here on a status hearing involving the Kennedy child. Ms. Wildman is with us for the department. Ms. Wiggins is with us representing the child. Mr. Jackson is covering for Mr. Barfield, who's representing the mother, Miss Kennedy, and Miss Lucero is with us representing the father, Mr. Kennedy. That's everyone, and I have Christina Hunter in the waiting room.
That's my caseworker, Judge.
Okay. All right, Miss Hunter's with us, and I have no one else in the waiting room. Miss Wildman, you may proceed.
Yes, Your Honor, and I don't recall if when we first started this, if we had called Miss Hunter or not. So if the court doesn't mind, I'm just going to go through my usual questions again.
Sure, go ahead.
And do we want to re-swear her in just in case?
Better, yeah, I guess we better. Miss Hunter, if you'd raise your right hand. Do you swear the testimony you give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. Miss Wildman.
Thank you, Judge. And Ms. Hunter, just briefly, how are you currently employed?
I'm a permanency specialist for St. Francis Ministries.
And are you the permanency specialist assigned to the case involving Ryan Kennedy and her parents, Christine and Jason Kennedy?
Yes, I am.
Where is Ryan currently placed?
She's currently placed in a GRO here in Amarillo.
Okay. And how has she been doing in that placement so far?
She's been doing great. No issues of any kind. She's enjoying going on all the outings, spending time with the other kids. She's having a great time.
Now, and is she still, I guess, on the emergency shelter side of things?
No, she was actually moved from the emergency shelter to the GRO side.
Okay.
There is a home study that is still currently pending approval from my director, but once that is back, we'll be able to make a decision of how we're going to move forward with her placement.
Is that a kinship home study?
It was from one of the families that the Kennedys had offered up as a potential placement for her.
Okay. And we're just waiting on approval for that?
Yes.
All right. Has Ryan still been going to the same elementary school since removal?
Yes.
How has she been doing in school?
She's been doing great. I've spoken with the school several times. There's not been any issues in regards to Ryan, either before removal or after removal, in regards to her behavior or her doing her schoolwork or anything of the sort.
All right, perfect. So what sort of visitation is Ryan having with her parents right now?
So currently Ryan sees both her mom and her dad weekly. She sees them separately of each other. She sees both Jason and Christine for an hour.
Right.
Jason's is on Monday and Christine's is on Wednesday.
All right, and have parents been making those visits?
Yes.
All right, and have there been any concerns about any of those visits?
No, both of the parents do really well about engaging with her. They bring things to keep them entertained. They also bring food for her to, to be able to feed her. Their visits are actually really great. I actually have to applaud Jason on one of his. I've never had a parent go gold panning before at a visit, but it was really pretty cool to watch. So
wonderful. All right, so have we developed family plan or plans of service in this case for the parents?
yes, we have.
Have you had an opportunity to go over those plans with the parents?
Yes, I have.
All right, and so let's look at Jason's first. What are some of the services that are being in the plan that are narrowly tailored to the needs of this case?
Give me just a second. Let me get his pulled up. So in regards to Jason's services, I have him set up to do a domestic violence support group through Family Support Services, drug testing throughout. He's also supposed to complete an OSAR, individual therapy, rational behavior training, and then parenting classes. He's also supposed to engage in medication management, as well as eventually he will move to couples therapy. And then like as in like marriage counseling.
Okay. And is that to be done with Christine?
Yes. It's basically the marriage counseling won't start until they both do their individual, and it is recommended by their individual therapist to move forward with the marriage counseling.
Okay. And so you talked about medication management. Is that the assessment that we're requesting he do through Texas Panhandle Services?
So Jason and I had talked about it originally whenever I set the family plan up. He was still trying to decide where he was going to do his medication management through. Since our conversations, he's decided he is going to continue to work with the PCP that he had been engaging with before, and continue to get his medication management through them.
Okay, so that assessment through TPC doesn't have to necessarily be through TPC as long as he's doing medication management.
Yes, correct.
Okay. Has he signed releases for any of that yet?
So he has signed a release for OSAR. He has also signed a release for his individual therapy. I needed to get back with Jason in regards to getting the information for whom his PCP is, so that way I can be able to contact them as well for the medication side.
Okay. But otherwise, you and Mr. Kennedy had gone over this plan, and he, I guess from your knowledge, is agreeable to those services?
Yes.
Has he begun any of the services yet?
He did reach out, with my absence of being in and out, due to personal reasons. We haven't been able to meet up in a couple of weeks. But he did reach out to say that he has been trying to get in contact with several of them. I know he's been already engaging in individual therapy. He was doing that whenever, the case already had began. So he's been able to maintain with that. And then he was also already had an appointment on the books, to get with his PCP in regards to his medication as well.
Okay. And so, at this point, are we now able to refer him to any other services, or I guess do any kind of service authorizations that we may need to do for those other services?
He sent me back the signed release for the OSAR, so I'll be getting that submitted this week to go ahead and get that moving forward as well. I sent over the information that his therapist needed in regard, because they're not contracted with us, in regards for the payment, the kind of stuff like that. Outside of that, the family support services, they don't require a referral from us. That's just something that Jason has to contact them and get set up with them through. But outside of that, not really. No, he's pretty well on his way.
Good. And so the psychosocial that he's going to need to complete, have we already cleared that through his therapist, and he's going to do that through his provider?
The anticipation is that he should be able to do it through his individual therapist. I have not been able to confirm again because I didn't have this unreleased until Friday. But now that I have that release, I can be able to confer with Mark.
Okay. And so we're open to whichever provider he wants. We can contract, we can send him to somebody contracted, or he can do that with his provider.
Correct. Yes.
All right. And has he signed his family plan of service?
I thought he did, but I wasn't able to find it, so I'll have to get with Jason again. So that may have just been a clerical error on my part.
All right. And so let's talk.
Turn your mic on, babe.
Let's talk about Christine's family plan of service. Have you had an opportunity to develop a plan of service for Christine?
Yes, I have.
Have you had an opportunity to go over that plan of service with her?
Yes, I have.
And do you know if hers was signed?
Yes, it was.
All right, perfect. So let's talk about the services that are being requested. What are some of the services we're requesting, and that are narrowly tailored to the needs of this case?
Apologies again. Got to get pulled up. Apologies, Your Honor.
No rush.
So for Miss Kennedy, a lot of the services are very similar. There's individual therapy, there's rational behavior therapy, there's medication management. There's also, so for her, it's WAVE due to the domestic violence, as well as marriage counseling.
All right, and so are we asking that she complete a assessment with Texas Panhandle Centers due to some of the concerns that were brought up earlier in the case?
So she actually has already been working with a different psychiatrist before. So whenever Miss Kennedy had left the pavilion, she had actually already had an standing appointment with that doctor. And so she has already been keeping up with her medications through that provider.
Have we gotten a release of information signed for that provider?
No, we have not.
Okay. Have we asked for one yet?
Yes, I sent Miss Kennedy an email on Friday that contained all the releases that I needed from her for the physician that she utilizes in regards to her medication, the OSAR, as well as individual therapy.
Okay. And we're still just waiting on signatures for that?
Yes.
All right. Now there was a service in your court report talking about making sure she's following up with an OBGYN to monitor her hormone levels. Can you explain that request?
From my understanding, whenever my first conversation with Miss Kennedy, as well as within the removal affidavit, it mentioned that Miss Kennedy said that she has a hormonal issue that she believes is part of the reason to contribute to her mental health that she has issues with. And so she had started on hormone therapy with somebody out of another state, but she didn't have anybody local in regards to an OBG that she could be able to go to. to be able to get hormonal treatments and those types of things and to have that continuous follow-up locally. So that was something that was added in there to ensure that the hormonal side of things is getting addressed, to ensure that that stability is consistent all the way across the board.
And are those providers included in those releases that you requested on Friday?
I haven't been able to get with Miss Kennedy again due to my absence for a couple of weeks, in regards to confirming who she went with. I know she did have an OB appointment and she did go to it, and they had, suggested lab work to be done. I don't believe she's got the lab work completed yet due to financials.
Okay. And so are we requesting that she sign releases for those or provide those providers information and sign those releases?
Yes.
All right. So she, as far as beginning any of the services, what sort of services besides I guess the services that you've already mentioned, she had already had standing appointments for, has she completed, if any?
At this point, I'm not 100% aware if I'm, again, due to my absence. I know that I had reached out to Ms. Henders as to whom it was I suggested for her to engage in individual therapy with. Ms. Henders did let me know that Ms. Kennedy had indicated that she had already had an individual therapist, so I'm not certain as to whom she's engaging with. So there's some additional information I will have to be getting from her.
Okay. And I believe Ms. Henders was also who was supposed to do the psychosocial initially, is that correct?
Yes.
Once we get the information about Miss Kennedy's provider, is it possible we may be able to use that provider to do that as well?
Yes.
Okay.
I also have submitted the information for the psychological to be completed as well.
Okay. And other than let me ask you, has there been communication from Miss Kennedy regarding some things with Ryan at school?
I did receive an email from her from over the weekend about her lunch account needing, like, having a lower balance. I checked in with the school this morning, and I also responded to Miss Kennedy and Mr. Kennedy, as well as including their attorneys, to let everybody know kind of what the status is. So Ryan was moved to free lunches on, I believe, the 30th or the 31st of March.
Okay.
And so since that point, she has been getting free lunches. However, if she gets an extra tray or she gets snacks, those are not something that is covered by the free lunches. And so that does come out of her extra balance that she does have available. So if that's something that they want to ensure is still available for Ryan, we'll just have to get together to work out how we're going to get the payment to the school and kind of go from there, because their access is limited, unfortunately, due to the case.
Have there been any other concerns involving the parents in the school?
I did receive notification that Miss Kennedy had brought some items up to the school for Ryan. I did send a message to Miss Kennedy after I was notified about it to let her know, like, hey, we can't be taking things up to the school. I had a previous conversation with both Ryan and Christine whenever I was supervising their visits that, you know, she has reached her maximum amount allowed of items at the facility that she's currently at. And so in order to ensure that things don't get in surplus and things don't start getting lost because there are too many things to keep track of, if she is wanting to get things from home, that we needed to kind of do an exchange thing at visits. So that way it keeps her at her normal level. So after that, Ms. Kennedy had taken a couple of things up to the school. She met the liaison officer and exchanged it to the liaison officer at the actual school premise. And then at other times, she's been taking things to Canyon Police Department.
And I mean, as far as getting items to Ryan, what would be the most appropriate way for Miss Kennedy to do that?
Most appropriate way, if Miss Kennedy was wanting to ensure that Ryan got them directly herself, would be just to take them to her visits. Again, as long as the communication is there, and as far as like what she's going to be bringing in to exchange for, I can be able to get with placement to make sure that does go smoothly, or just to contact me directly, so that way I can coordinate with her to be able to get them to Ryan.
Is there any way that if items are dropped off at the school or with the Canyon Police Department that St. Francis can even ensure what has been dropped off or get that to Ryan?
No, I can't.
Now, do you believe the department's making reasonable efforts to reunify the family?
I do.
Do you believe that the family plan of service is one of those efforts?
Yes.
Do you believe those narrowly tailored services are going to hopefully help alleviate the concerns that the department has and move towards reunification?
Yes.
What do you believe are some of the continuing dangers to Ryan that prohibits her from going home at this time?
Some of the things that I'm still concerned about is the mental stability within the home. I know that Jason and Chris, they dearly love each other, but they do have a lot of things within their marriage that they need to work on in regards to communication with each other, resolving marital issues, those types of things it will ensure a peaceful, healthy environment for not just them, but for Ryan as well as making sure that they're both addressing any kind of mental health that they may have that needs to be improved and or stabilized.
So at this point, do you think it would be contrary to her physical health and safety to return to their home at this time?
Yes, I do.
Are you hopeful that as they work services, we can start moving in that direction?
Absolutely.
Are there any other services that the parents need that we haven't gone over, or that Ryan needs that need to be made an order of the court today?
At this time, I don't believe so.
Okay, and are we asking that the family plans of service become an order of the court today?
Yes.
Are we asking that Miss Kennedy and Mr. Kennedy, if there are any outstanding releases that need to be signed, that they sign those?
Yes.
And are we asking, at least as of now, that the placement continue at the group home?
Yes.
And then I think
I am also requesting that they go drug screen today by 4.
Okay, that was gonna be my next question. What type of drug screen?
They're both going to be UAs.
All right. And is there anything else the court needs to be made aware of?
At this time, no.
All right, Your Honor, I'll pass the witness.
All right, thank you. Christina, is Ryan seeing Lynn Jennings still?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, thank you. All right. Let's see, Mr. Jackson, I guess you're next.
Thank you. Christina, you had mentioned that you all were looking at a family member to place this child with. Is that correct?
I believe she would be classified as a fictive Ken. She's a family friend.
Okay. And how long ago was that request made? Do you know?
I believe that request was made. Let me see here. Somewhere between the 21st and the 25th of April.
Okay. All right. And this person's local, right?
Yes.
And have you followed up with the persons that are doing the home study to see what the status is?
Yes. The home study actually is back. It's just it's pending review by my director right now.
Okay. All right. And would you kindly let the attorneys know about the results of that home study?
Absolutely. I'll have it redacted and e-filed as well.
Okay, thank you. And on another note, you had mentioned part of the order to include a psych exam. Is that correct?
Yes.
Are you aware that Christine had a neuropsych back in October of 2024?
I am aware that she had several assessments completed. From the information that I was provided, though, it's not an actual psychological.
If she was able to provide you with a copy of the outcome or results of that neuropsych, would that suffice for what you're asking for?
I would have to take a look at it to see, if I'm being honest. It just depends on what the information is contained within it.
Okay. All right. Pass the witness, Your Honor.
All right, thank you, Ms. Lucero.
Thank you, Your Honor. Ms. Hunter, you stated that the child is now in a group home, not on the emergency side, but just regular side. Is that right?
Yes. Yes,
and
ma'am.
when did that happen?
Maybe about a week or so ago.
Okay. And during the time that she's been in placement, has the parents, well, specifically Mr. Kennedy, has he expressed any concerns about her care there or issues that he's concerned about?
Not to me directly, no.
Okay, all right. So you haven't heard anything about that anytime he's visited her, which has been now 7 or 8 times, she always has like the same clothes on? He hasn't said that to you?
Not to me, no.
Okay.
Even whenever I was watching the visits, she always had different clothing on.
Okay, and having to wake up extremely early, like at 5 a.m. To, I guess, to get ready because there's other kids in the home and to get everybody to where they need to go. He was concerned about that.
Again, wasn't mentioned directly to me, no.
Okay. And again, just to be clear, he can continue seeing his whoever his counselor is. Is that correct?
Yes, I do want to make sure that it is clear and on the record though that his provider is not contracted with us. And
Okay.
although there is the new rule with the states that says, you know, they can select, the state only reimburses so much. And after that amount, it is up to the rest, the remainder is up to the Kennedys to cover.
Okay, all right. And as far as the domestic violence support group through Family Support Services, do you know how long that program is? Like weeks or classes?
I don't. I believe it's possibly 13, 14 sessions.
Okay. And are those in person or are those virtual?
They vary.
So it just depends on what he gets set up.
I believe it's actually based upon what he selects.
That's what I mean. Okay. So y'all are okay if they're virtual, right?
I'm fine with that. As long
Okay.
it's not a matter of in person versus virtual. It's a matter, is he learning the information? Is he utilizing the information? Those
I
types of
understand. I understand. Okay. Okay, I'll pass I'll pass the witness, Your Honor.
Thank you. Ms. Wiggins?
Is there a reason why we weren't notified that she was moved from the emergency shelter to the regular home?
I thought I had sent you an email. I apologize if I didn't.
Okay, can you just get us the information on the new caseworker?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Nothing further, Judge.
All right. Anybody have anything further from Ms. Hunter?
Just one question or a brief series of questions, Judge. Ms. Hunter, or have there been concerns about Christine's mental health since October 2024?
Yes.
And in fact, are you aware of a hospitalization that's happened within the last month?
Yes.
Even if a neuropsych evaluation or some kind of evaluation had been done in October of 2024, what is your opinion on needing a more current one?
Mental health changes, honestly, and very quickly. Sometimes, unfortunately, I know Ms. Kennedy had mentioned to me that she didn't feel like the medication that she was on at the time was working adequately for her, and that she felt like there were some changes that she was needing. Different stressors at different times, all different kinds of things can play into your mental health, as we all know. I don't feel like the neuropsych that occurred in December is going to be sufficient for what is currently going on. But again, I'm still completely okay with taking a look at it and seeing if the information within it is going to be sufficient to be able to continue to aid with her treatment.
No further questions, Judge.
Anyone else? All right, then. Christina, if she gets that neuropsych to you, can you just get it to whoever you're requesting that do the new psychological and let them determine if there's any need for a new one?
Yes, absolutely.
I think we ought to just leave it up to the professionals to see if the neuropsych will suffice. So, okay. All right, then. Ms. Wildman, any other witnesses?
No, Your Honor.
All right. Mr. Jackson, any witnesses?
No witnesses, Your Honor.
All right. Ms. Lucero?
Lorraine, you're muted.
Thanks. Sorry. Mr. Kennedy for a few questions, Your Honor.
All right, Mr. Kennedy, if you'd unmute.
I'm unmuted. Here we go. I'm sorry about that.
That's all right, sir. If you'd raise your right hand, do you swear the testimony you give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
All right, thank you. Mr. Lucero?
Mr. Kennedy, you've heard Ms. Hunter's testimony today, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Through her testimony, has that helped alleviate any of the concerns that you've had for your daughter? Or is there anything else you wanted the court to know?
That has some of it has helped alleviate some of the concerns. I just am kind of really, my daughter's been asking me at visitations about leaving, about placement, about coming home, questions that I can't really answer, speak to. And she was telling me she's been having a hard time sleeping since they moved, and she's been sleeping in the light, and waking up at 5 a.m. has just been taking a toll on her. So I think, my main concern is getting her to her local placement that we place while we work on our service, agreement or our service plan and move forward. I think that would benefit our daughter to the best extent.
Okay.
Absolutely. To the fullest of her capabilities.
And you heard Ms. Hunter say that the home study's actually been completed. They're just waiting for the director to either approve or deny the same. You understand that?
Yes.
Okay.
I do.
And-
Thank you.
All right, and you were aware that she'd been moved from the emergency side to just a regular GRO, as they call it? Were you aware of that?
I was aware that she moved cabins. That's all that I was aware of.
Okay.
I
All
didn't
right.
know.
Okay, so do you have any questions regarding the service plan as been, the requirements that have been set forth today? Or are you okay with it?
No, I'm willing to do the service plan. Absolutely. I agree to the service plan.
Okay, I'll pass the witness, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. Real quickly, Christina, what's the typical time frame once you get the home study back and it goes to your director? What's the typical frame?
Generally a couple weeks.
Okay. All right. All right, then, Ms. Wildman, did you have any questions for Mr. Kennedy?
No, Your Honor.
All right. Mr. Jackson?
No, Your Honor.
Ms. Wiggins?
No, Your Honor.
Okay. All right, Ms. Lucero, any other witnesses?
No, Your Honor.
Ms. Wiggins, witnesses?
No witnesses.
All right, Ms. Wiggins, recommendations.
I recommend that the department remain temporary managing conservator. I did meet with Ryan at school. She was doing really well, had no complaints. She did talk about changing placements, and so I did send a note over there that nobody should be talking about changing placements. Let's focus on her present. And she is doing well with Lynn Jennings, so I just ask that continue.
Okay. All right, then. Okay, then I will continue the department as temporary managing conservator. I'll continue Ryan's current placement. If the home study comes, I'm sorry, Christina.
I'm so sorry, Your Honor. Just kind of preemptively, I've already sent the email to Ms. Wildman and Ms. Wiggins. If her placement is approved, which I'm hoping, fingers crossing, should go well. The placement that we're looking to move her into, they actually have a vacation planned in another state that they are wanting to take her with. So I just wanted to go ahead and get court's approval for that. I believe Ms. Wiggins and Ms. Wildman said that there was no issues there, but I just wanted to get court approval since it is going to be like a quick turnaround kind of type thing.
Okay.
I believe
don't-
it's for a week in Foley, Alabama, Judge.
I don't ever require the court's approval for any travel for the children with their placements as long as it's within the continental United States. The only time I want to approve them if they're going overseas. So I'll go ahead and tell you I'll approve it unless the parents come up and give some reason why they shouldn't be approved, but I doubt that since they're placements. So.
Okay, sorry. I just
Okay.
wanted to make sure, because like I said,
Right.
it was going to be a very quick turnaround.
Sure. Yeah, that's not a problem. If we are confident enough to place them with them, then we're confident enough to let them vacation with them. That's kind of my outlook on the deal. So, all right, I will order the services for each parent as contained in their service plans. I will order both parents to sign any and all releases presented to them by either St. Francis or the department. And I'll order both parents to UA drug screen by 4 p.m. today at Care Express. Mr. and Ms. Kennedy, can you both get to Care Express today?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Mr. Kennedy, can you?
Babe.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I was just going through meetings and work, trying to time it. Yeah. Actually, my visitation is today.
All right,
At
let's do
4.
it. Let's do it by 4 o'clock tomorrow.
Okay, 4 o'clock. Nothing will change from then till now. So, or
Sure,
now
no,
from
I
then.
wouldn't-
So,
Wouldn't think so. Okay. I did want to ask Christina, I guess since you're only asking for UAs, do we have a hair strand to give us a baseline?
Yes, Your Honor, we have a hair strand for both.
Okay, all right, thank you. All right, then, our next hearing will be the initial permanency hearing. That will be on August 25th. 2025. It will be by Zoom, just like today's hearing, so the parties can get with their attorneys or with St. Francis to see exactly what time we're going to have that hearing a couple of days before August 25th. We usually set 2 or 3, at minimum of 2 or 3 days before. We will know then exactly what time we'll have the hearing, so you don't have to wait around in the waiting room very long. So, all right, then, that will conclude this hearing. For those of you involved, I'll be back to call 2 related cases at noon. That is a compliance hearing and an adversary hearing involving the Ibara and Aguilar children. So other than that, we will stand in recess. Y'all have a good week.
You too.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you, Judge.
I will call, I'm going to call 2 related cases. Or do I need to call? We had a conversation about this earlier this morning with Ms. Wildman and Ms. Gutierrez. I have a compliance hearing following an order to participate on the children Fernando Ibara and Lana Aguilar, and then I also have an adversary now under a different cause number, which is set for today for Fernando Ibara Jr. Do I need to even call do we need to do anything in the compliance case, or is it going to be dismissed?
Your Honor, we're asking for that compliance, that temporary order to participate in services. We're asking that be terminated.
Okay. Okay, I'll go ahead when presented. I'll sign an order dismissing the compliance case, which was cause number 86082L2.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Okay, I will call then cause number 86577. This is an adversary hearing on the Fernando Ibara Jr. child. Ms. Gutierrez is with us for the department. Was this one you said was, are you going to cover this from Ms. Gutierrez, or was Ms. Wildman going to cover?
I actually took the removal case over completely, so
Okay.
I'm the attorney on removal.
Okay.
And then for the and then for the OTP case that was just dismissed, Ms. Naranjo was assigned as the attorney for the mother. Your Honor, I don't know if you want to continue that appointment for the removal case or how you want to
Let me just
handle
ask.
that.
Ms. Naranjo, they've asked me to dismiss the OTP case. We were set for a compliance hearing today, so we don't have to deal with that. Are you comfortable going ahead and going forward in the adversary with representing the mother?
Yes, Judge, if you'll appoint me, I don't mind.
Okay, all right. Brittany, let's just go ahead and get that order out.
Yes, I'll get that done right now.
Okay. Okay, so again, Ms. Gutierrez is with us for the department on the Ibara Jr. adversary. Ms. Wiggins is with us representing the child, and Ms. Naranjo is with us representing the mother, Ms. Aguilar, who is with her. And I showed that the father, Ferdinand Ibara, is incarcerated. Is that still correct?
Yes, Your Honor, that is still correct. And we are asking, since he's incarcerated and there's an acknowledgement of paternity, that the court assign or appoint him an attorney.
Okay, we'll get that done today also. All right, I have Erica Smith is the only one in the waiting room.
That is my worker, Your Honor. I think I'm waiting on another FBSS supervisor. Let me get her name real quick.
Just as I said that, I had an Alejandra Mosquito come into the waiting room.
That's her.
Not to be confused with mosquito.
Oh, Your Honor, if I'm going to step away just for like 20 seconds, I realized I left the cartoons on for the dogs.
Okay.
Turn that off.
I'm going to look real quick too. I think I got in an exhibit for, I can't remember which hearing, so I'm going to pull up and take a look at that real quick.
Kendra, while Judge Graham is looking at those proposed, what I had sent him, is the mother in agreement or is she contesting the adversary hearing?
She's contesting the adversary.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, all right. We are ready to proceed. Ms. Gutierrez, you can call your first witness.
Thank you, Your Honor. The department calls Erica Smith as its witness.
Okay. Ms. Smith, if you'd raise your right hand, please. You swear the testimony you give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
Yes.
All right, thank you. Ms. Gutierrez?
Thank you, Your Honor. Erica, who do you work for?
I work for the Department of Family and Protective Services.
And what do you do for them?
I am a caseworker for family-based safety services.
And are you assigned to the case for Stacy Aguilar?
Yes, I am.
And she is the mother to which children?
To Lana Aguilar and Fernando Ibarra.
And Lana's father currently has emergency custody of her, is that correct?
Yes,
So Lana was not included in this removal, is that correct?
correct.
However, was Lana a part of the family-based safety services case that you worked?
Yes,
Okay, and who is Fernando Jr.'s father?
Fernando Sr.
Okay, and how old is Fernando Ibarra Jr.?
He is 2.
All right. And in regards to the family-based safety services case, can you tell us what the family-based safety services program is?
Yes, the family-based safety services is a program that comes in and helps families in regards to offer services to mitigate the circumstances that they've gotten involved with the department for. Those services help the family in regards to changing behaviors and allowing them to be able to keep their children in their home safely.
Okay, and is the family-based safety services program also known as the FBSS program?
Yes,
And is that program often utilized to avoid removal of the children?
yes,
Okay, and it can be done voluntarily or through legally ordered compliance, is that correct as well?
yes.
And with Ms. Aguilar, was she court ordered to participate in that program?
Yes,
Your Honor, we asked the court to take judicial notice of the temporary order for required participation in services and cause number 86082-L2.
Okay, so noted.
Thank you, Your Honor. And Ms. Smith, when approximately was she ordered to participate in those services?
that order was on January. I'm sorry.
Okay, let me ask a different question. Was that
Yes.
order a few months ago?
Yes, it was.
Okay. And after, what was she ordered to do in that temporary order for required participation?
She was ordered to work services, as far as, excuse me, with the investigation, she was ordered to do drug testing, and she was going to, her case was going to be referred to family-based safety services.
And so within that order, was she ordered to complete a substance abuse assessment through OSAR?
She was.
And is OSAR, does that stand for Outreach, Screening, Assessment, and Referral?
Yes.
And is that basically the threshold requirement for, or the first step requirement for somebody to begin to qualify for treatment of substance use?
Yes.
Okay, and was that OSAR assessment completed by Ms. Aguilar?
No, it was not.
And was she additionally ordered to participate in individual counseling?
Yes.
And did she start her individual counseling during your FBSS case with her?
No, she did not.
And was she also ordered to do parenting classes?
Yes.
Did she complete, or apologies, did she start the parenting classes while you had her case?
No, she did not.
She was also ordered to do Narcotics Anonymous classes, is that correct?
Yes.
And did she start those?
No.
And was she also ordered, or did you ask her to do the HOPES program as well?
Yes, I did.
Okay, do you recall whether or not that was specifically ordered?
It was, but due to her case being substantiated, she did not qualify for that program.
Okay, was there a different program that you connected her with?
Yes, she was referred to the Region 16 in-home program at that point.
Okay, and did she start that program?
She did call and make contact with the lady to start that and received paperwork, but the lady never received anything back from her.
Okay. She was also ordered to receive some mental health services with Texas Panhandle Centers. To your knowledge, was that ever done?
No, it was not.
Okay. Additionally, she was ordered to do rational behavior therapy. To your knowledge, was that started?
No.
And she was ordered to drug screen when requested as well. Has she been compliant with that requirement as well?
She was at the beginning of the case.
Okay. So while you had her case, you had said that she was at the beginning of the case. So you had asked her to drug screen at the beginning. Is that correct?
Yes.
At what point did that compliance change?
It changed at the end in April.
Okay. And how did it change?
When I asked her to go drug test in April, on April 11th, she went and did a drug test. Whenever I was looking for the results of that drug test, I could not find them. So generally what I do is I inquire with the drug testing facility to see if the client went to do that test. And so I called Care Express to see if she had gone, and they did tell me that she had
Objection,
went.
Your Honor, hearsay.
Sustain.
Okay. Let me ask a more straightforward question. Was the date that you asked her April 14th of 2025?
That was the day that I found out that she had not gone.
Okay. Do you have your affidavit in support of removal?
I do.
Okay. Would you please refer to the top of page 5 of that affidavit?
Yes.
And at the top, there's a paragraph that begins on February 14th of 2025. Is that correct?
Yes.
Would you like a moment to refresh your memory on that paragraph?
Yes. I'm sorry. I had misstated the date.
Okay. Now, on April 14th, 2025, is that when you requested Ms. Aguilar to drug screen?
It is.
And to your knowledge, she went to the facility the next day. Is that correct?
Yes.
Now, without telling me what anybody said, did she or did she not complete that drug screen?
She tried to, but she did not.
Okay. And how does the department view drug screens that are not completed?
As a presumed positive.
Now let's go back to the beginning of this case briefly. How did this case, what were the main issues that resulted in this case going to FBSS and having court-ordered services?
Ms. Aguilar had tested positive for cocaine and marijuana.
Okay. Your Honor, at this time, we offer Department's Exhibit 1, which is the inmate search results on Mr. Ibara
Right.
as evidence.
Objections? All right.
No objection.
Exhibit 1 is admitted.
Objection.
Thank you, Your Honor. We also offer Exhibit number 2, which are the drug screens of Ms. Aguilar with a business records affidavit.
Objections?
I would object, Your Honor. That business records affidavit has not been unfiled for the required 14 days notice.
And Your Honor, if I may respond, we filed it at the same time as filing that petition. There was no cause number until that petition was filed. So we do ask for that to be admitted in consideration of that.
Your Honor, if I may respond to that, the
Sure.
department had these drug screens, the majority of them, even when the compliance case was going on, they would have had the opportunity to provide those with the sufficient amount of time for the 14 days notice in that compliance hearing, and they failed to do that as well.
Your Honor, I don't think me filing it under a different cause number than the one I'm actually having a hearing on would have solved the problem. So in that, I do disagree.
Well, when was
It would
it
provide a
filed?
copy out of my notice.
When was it filed in this case?
It was filed with the petition in this case on that day, Your Honor.
Which day?
Let me go back
It was
to,
May 6th, Your Honor.
I'm sorry, what, May 6th?
May 6th. And the drug screen results were, I believe, from back in March and January.
Okay. I'm going to sustain the objection. So petitioners 2 will not be admitted today.
thank you, Your Honor. At this time, we do ask for a continuance then so that the proper amount of time may be provided on those drug screen results
Okay.
with that business records affidavit. We did our due diligence and acted within reason, I believe, Your Honor, to get those on file immediately once the case was filed. I do believe that they are necessary to the case, and if that objection, and the objection has been sustained, so we do ask for a continuance.
Your Honor,
Alright,
I
well-
would object to the continuance. My client's been without access to her child. She's been had a compliance hearing. We're entitled to move forward today. I mean, I just got a point today and I'm still willing to move forward. I don't think we need to have a continuance. I think we need to have the full adversary today.
I'm gonna, we're either gonna, if you want to continue with your objection to the 14 days, then I'm going to recess it until we meet that 14 days, because I think the court needs to know about the drug test results before I rule on an adversary hearing. So I'll let you call it, Ms. Naranjo. Do you want to recess, or do we want to go forward?
I mean, I would like to go forward with the case today, Your Honor, but if the court's going to grant the continuance, then
Well-
I mean, the court's going to do what the court's going to do.
Well, all I'm saying is if you'll withdraw your objection to the drug results not being on file 14 days, we'll move forward. If not, we'll recess until they have been on file 14 days.
I won't withdraw my objection, Your Honor.
Okay. Okay, then. I don't have that in front of me. I'm trying to work 2 screens off of one laptop. When were the drug test results filed?
The drug test results, let me go into that cause number, Your Honor.
Okay.
Your Honor, I have it. The first drug screen results were from, I believe, filed back in January. I don't know the exact date. Apologize for that. And the other ones for the compliance case for the other 2 in March were never filed. The only one that was ever filed was the one from January.
Your Honor, were you asking what date the 902 notice was filed, or were you asking when the actual drug screens, each individual one was filed?
Well, we're objecting to I guess petitioner's exhibit 2, correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, because that affidavit and the results were filed what day? That's my question.
May 6th.
May 6th. Okay. Looks to me like I'm not good at math. May 20.
It's, Your Honor, I will acknowledge that we are short the 14 days notice by 1 day. Again, I do believe that Ms. Aguilar has had reasonable time to review those and to have that notice, and I
Well,
can
no,
only renew my request for a recess.
That's what I'm doing. I'm just trying to figure out how long we have to
Oh.
recess, and that's what I was just doing right now. The 14 days will be tomorrow. So, let me look at the calendar. We can come back Wednesday. We can't come back Friday.
I'm available Wednesday, Your Honor, all day.
I'm sorry, what?
I'm available all day on Wednesday.
Mr. Naranjo,
I can only do the morning, Judge.
let me pull up my calendar.
Can I interject?
Sure.
We only have, I just did the docket and our next available would be 1:15 unless you want me to move something around.
Nah, I'm not gonna do that. If we can't do Wednesday, then we'll look into next week. We've got stuff set for the 30th.
I anticipate the 30th. Let me take a look at that. think that adversary hearing in Berks is supposed to take the entire the afternoon, Your Honor. So I would consider that docket full,
If I may,
unfortunately.
Everybody's talking at once. I can't really make out what anybody's saying.
I apologize. Judge, if I may, the Lacey case, I believe we have filed a dismissal in that one. That's set for the 30th.
I did just get that, Sam.
So I don't know if that matters to anybody on that. As far as if that Burke one's going to take a long time, it may not change things.
No, it does change things, Your Honor. I had 2 hours set aside for that Lacey case on Friday the 30th in the morning. So that would, I believe, Brittany, if I'm not mistaken, we would have time Friday morning then?
Yes.
Okay. And that's the 30th, correct?
Yes, I'll put it where Lacey was.
Okay.
I can get the time in just a second. Let me look. Well, we have other counties that morning, so let me get back to y'all on the time. I can still put it in the morning, but we have to do Dallam County first.
All right.
And Judge, I can do the 30th.
Okay, thank you. Okay, then, I will grant the department's motion to recess the case to allow for the 14 days for the affidavit, including the drug test results to be admissible. So I will recess the case as the court finds the necessity to know the test results before I rule on an adversary hearing. We will reconvene on the morning of May 30th, 2025, which is a Friday. As Brittany said, we've got to cover our other counties that are not Randall County that day. They'll get preference, and then we'll let you know. Brittany will send out an email to everybody as soon as we can figure out what time on May 30th in the morning we'll have this case reconvened. So,
Thank you, Your Honor.
okay, all right, dude. I don't have anybody in the waiting room, so I don't guess we have any witnesses I need to let know about that. So,
No.
okay, all right then. We'll stand in recess. For those of you involved, I'll be back at 1 o'clock to call another Randall County case, an initial permanency hearing on the Orsana child. So otherwise, we'll be in recess till 1 o'clock. Y'all have a good week.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank y'all. Randall County case cause number 77653C. This is an initial permanency hearing on the Orsana child. Ms. Wildman is with us for the department. Ms. Wiggins is with us representing the child. I say that. Yeah, there you are. Okay. Mr. Jackson's with us representing the father, Mr. Orsana. Mr. Jackson, are you expecting him?
No, sir.
Okay. Ms. Rudd is not with us. She represents the mother, Miss Amati. So my understanding is there's been a mediated settlement agreement in this case. Correct?
That's correct.
Okay. Are we proceeding today as a final since we have a settlement?
Your Honor, I don't know that we have to proceed as a final. We could just do a permanency hearing. Because I think statutorily, I think we're due for one. And then I believe Mr. Jackson and Ms. Rudd are still hammering out the actual agreement. But as far as I'm aware, I think we've even started moving into the agreed changes in visitation and everything. So I would assume we just put on a very brief amount of testimony for a permanency if Mr. Koval's in the waiting room.
He is. Okay, we can do
That
that.
might be the best way to handle it.
And then you guys just going to present me with an agreed final order when you get it all worked out and put on paper? Okay, works for me. All right. This case was set for 1 o'clock. It's now 1:10. We will proceed in Ms. Rudd and the parent's absence. Ms. Wildman, you may proceed.
Thank you, Judge. And Mr. Koval, we're going to proceed with a very brief permanency hearing. So, Your Honor, the court would call Tim Koval.
All right. Mr. Koval, do you swear the testimony you give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Sorry, I was muted. Yes,
right.
I do.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Wildman.
And Mr. Koval, how are you currently employed?
I'm the St. Francis Permanency Specialist.
And are you assigned to the case involving Journey Orsana and her family?
Yes, I am.
And is Journey still currently placed with her father?
The official placement is with Dad. Yes.
And so I guess let's talk a little bit about that. Were you involved in the mediation, I guess, negotiations in this case?
I was.
And so technically, as far as the department's concerned with this case being open, placement is still with Dad, correct?
Correct.
And has the, I guess, mediated agreement, are we working towards transitioning ultimately to a, I think, a 50-50 schedule?
50-50, week on, week off.
And do you know what the current, I guess, visitation step up phase is right now?
I'm sorry, you cut out.
No. Do you know sort of what the visitation step up phase is right now? Kind of what kind of visitation's going on?
Well, it's my understanding. Well, not just my thing. I do know that this is what's happening is that after the mediation agreement was reached, the parties went ahead and implemented it. And so they have been doing the 50-50 week on, week off. So Journey is placed for a week and then with Dad for a week.
And how has that been going?
It's been going well. They're co-parenting very well, and Journey's doing well.
All right. And so as far as updates on Journey, do we have any kind of update on, I believe there was some sort of autism evaluation or something that was going to happen or was scheduled? Have we heard back from that yet?
We have not. I don't know, there was a little bit of hiccup between Dr. Young's office, I guess he's the PCP, primary care physician, and the referral to the evaluator that was going to do the autism. And then they said they didn't get the referral. And last I talked to Dad a week or two ago, it was kind of still spinning wheels between the two. So bottom line, the evaluation has not occurred yet.
Are you confident that parents are going to get that taken care of, even once we're out of the case?
Yes, I do.
And is it fair to say, based on your court report, that her CANS evaluation has also identified her as being on the autism spectrum?
It has.
Okay. So we do have something a little bit more official than we did at the beginning of the case. Is that fair to say?
Yes, we have CANS evaluation as well as the original referral from the school.
Okay. Now, as far as services, were there any services left that anybody needed to complete?
Everyone had completed their services just within the past couple of weeks. The co-parenting class that Mom and Dad were both attending was completed, and Dad completed his counseling. Mom has been in counseling since before the case began. It's a continual thing that she is doing and continues to do. But there's nothing left for either of the parties to do.
Since there is no prepared, I guess, mediated agreement necessarily at this time, are you willing for the department to remain and asking the department to remain TMC just until that can be provided to the judge with all party signatures?
Yes.
But at this point, do we have any further continuing danger concerns about either parent?
No continuing danger.
Do we think that the step of visitation and ultimate goal of the 50-50 custody is going to be in Journey's best interest?
Yes.
Then I believe, do you believe that and by coming to that agreement, do you believe everybody's made reasonable efforts to get Journey reunified with both of her parents?
Yes.
Would you ask that the court set another hearing date as a final within the next 30 days so that we can go ahead and get this case resolved?
Yes.
I'll pass the witness, Judge.
All right. Do we need another hearing, or can I just sign off on the final order?
I think if we have another hearing date, Judge, that'll at least give us a deadline, and that might help Mr. Jackson and Miss Rudd sort of.
Okay. I'm looking at, well, let's just go ahead. Mr. Jackson, did you have any questions?
No, sir.
All right, Ms. Wiggins?
No questions.
Okay. All right, then. Anybody else have anything further? All right, then I will continue the department's temporary managed conservator, continue Journey's current placement with her father. Brittany, how bad does, they sent about a month out, how does June 23rd, how bad is it?
Let me see. We have time that day.
Okay, all right. Okay, then I will set the final for June 23rd, 2025. That will be by Zoom, just like today's hearing. So parties and attorneys can go on the court's online docket a day or two before June 23rd to see what time that hearing will take place. All right, then, that will conclude this hearing. For those of you involved, I'll be back at 2 o'clock to call a final hearing on the Randall County final hearing on the Rodriguez children. So appreciate everybody working that out on this case. So we'll see you back on June 23rd. Y'all have a good week.
Hopefully we don't see you back on June 23rd, Judge.
Okay.
Hopefully the order gets done.
Yeah.
We should.
If not, Joe, I'll just give you a breakout room. Oh, he was gone. He didn't get to hear that. I will call Randall County case cause number 84052L2. This is a set for a final hearing on the Rodriguez children. Ms. Wildman is with us for the department. Mr. Anjo is with us representing the children. Ms. Rudd is with us representing Ms. Rodriguez. I assume Ms. Rodriguez is an intervenor. I can't remember.
Is an intervener, yes.
All right, thank you. Ms. Lucero is with us representing the mother, Ms. Cassius, who is with us. And Mr. Rodriguez, the father, is with us. His lawyer, Ms. Mullinax, is involved in a jury trial. We've already discussed this. They've asked that we call the case, take a little bit of testimony and recess it until she can be here to represent Ms. Cassius, and I told her that was fine. So
Judge, before we get started too much further in, can I have Jasmine Devereaux and Lisa Hooper brought in? That's my caseworker and her supervisor.
right, the only other one I have is Mariah Buchanan. Do we know who she is?
She's not our witness, Judge.
She may be one of my witnesses.
They've been what?
One of my witnesses.
All right, I'll just get her in and so they'll hear what's going on.
And if you give me a minute, Judge, I had a DFPS caseworker that we were going to call and start with, and if she's not in there, I may need to give her a call real quick.
Okay. All right. I've let Miss Devereaux, Miss Buchanan, and let's see, who else did I let in? Miss Hooper? Yeah. We're going to, the father's lawyer, Aaron Mullinax, has started a jury trial today, so she'd asked that we not proceed. We're going to go ahead and start the case because we're getting close to the deadline. We're going to start it and take a very minimum amount of testimony, then we'll recess. Ms. Wildman for the department's looking for her witness to put on this brief bit of testimony. And y'all be thinking about how far out you want to reconvene this final. We're pushing everything through the end of May, but let's just see where we're at once we get this little bit of testimony taken. If I need to, I'll put the lawyers in a breakout room. You can discuss how long you think we want to push this out.
Very good.
Just give me 5 minutes, Judge, and I'll make that call, and then we can get into the breakout.
All right, I'll just wait till I see you come back, Ms. Wildman, and then I'll come back too. All right, as I said, there's no need to put on much testimony. We'll just have to do it again when we come back. So you can call your witness, Ms. Wildman.
Your Honor, the department will call Letha Little.
All right, Ms. Little, if you'd unmute. Thank you, ma'am. If you raise your right hand. You swear the testimony you give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. Ms. Wildman.
And Ms. Little, just briefly, how are you currently employed?
I work for the Department of Family and Protective Services as an investigator.
And were you involved in an investigation in a case that involved parents by the name of Jonathan Rodriguez and Ignacia Cassius?
Yes, ma'am.
Your Honor, is that sufficient?
It is for me, unless anybody thinks we need to go further. Okay. All right. Y'all want me to just put you in a quick breakout room? Y'all can talk about roughly how long you need. As I told you, we're getting kind of sparse for the rest of May, but let me do that. I'll open up a breakout room for all the attorneys.
Thank you, Judge.
Uh-huh. Okay, where are we?
Parties have talked, Your Honor, and it looks like unless Brittany knows something that we didn't know previously, we're wanting to set it for June 30th and start at noon and then just go until we're done.
How long y'all think it's going to take? Just so we'll know.
Best estimate was probably 5 to 6 hours. That's why we're asking for the full afternoon.
Do we have that, Brittany?
Yes, that works for us. I know they made arrangements for that with what I'm looking at from Teresa, so.
Okay. All right, then. Then I will recess the case to reconvene on June 30th. I guess we'll just say starting at 1:30. That's the afternoon typically. So unless y'all want to start at 1.
I think, Your Honor, when Sam messaged me, she had asked for a 12 p.m. start. Is that
Okay.
what y'all are wanting, Sam?
I think that would probably be the best option in case we do end up going. Like I said, I think estimates were anywhere from 4 to 6 hours, so noon is the best chance we have of not having to stay after 5.
Let's start at noon. And then we'll just stay as long as we need to. So you might want to have a snack. If you haven't had lunch at noon, have a snack and go off camera real quick. And then you might want to bring your dinner too. So okay. All right. In the meantime, then we'll just continue things just as they were. Are we into any type of stepped up anything yet?
We are, Your Honor.
Okay, we'll just continue then the Department of Temporary Management Conservator and continue the current placement of the kids and continue the stepped up plan that you're on now. So, okay. Then this was our last case of the day. So I'll see y'all back on June 30th at noon and y'all have a good week.
All right, thank you.
You did.
Thank y'all.